How's it going, everybody? Maxwell McGee here, checking out Dragon Commander alongside Farm, and we are about to hop into our first match of this 2v2 multiplayer battle that we are playing. Farm's picking out his cards right now. Farm, what are you thinking?
Well, that's right, Max. We're here. I'm the red guys. I'm actually protecting my country here from an invasion by blue. At this point, I have 5 card slots on which I can play multiple different cards. We have dragon cards, we have mercenary cards, which are additional units that only pop in for the battle. So I might play a couple of those. I might get some armor mercenaries. There's 5 slots, 2 of which are blind. So these slots can't be viewed by other players. I'm going to play one of my good cards there, which is a mass heal card. It's a dragon skill that allows me to heal my units on the battlefield, and I'll just add one more, well, maybe 3 additional grenadiers in here, and people will be able to see my cards here, but they won't see my dragon skill card, as you can see.
So we are also, to clarify, so we're playing as red, and we're on an alliance with yellow? Green?
With yellow, that's correct. So we're allied with yellow, and blue and green are our enemies at the point. So we're going to click ready, and we're going to head into combat. Okay, so here we are on the battlefield. So this is pretty much my base where I start out. These huge brick buildings here, these are capture points. So these are neutral to begin with, as you can see here. They're neutral to begin with, and once you go near them, you start capturing them. There are various capture points. So in this case, this is a harbor or a airfield capture point. The smaller ones actually allow us to build turrets on top of them, and the bigger ones actually allow us to build airfields, barracks, and factories as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to attack the green team as soon as we can. Make sure they're out of our hair. Send these guys to follow their devastators, and we're going to build something very important, which is a recruitment center. Now in the top you can see a digit here that says like 2275. So this number actually represents the amount of population that is in this country at this point. These recruitment centers take recruits from the population, and everybody shares the same population amount. So the more recruitment centers you actually have, the more recruits you can get from this population. So that's exactly what we're doing here, trying to capture these points which are specific to the population.
Now, what determines the starting amount of resources you have to work with?
Well, what determines is, I was protecting this country with a bunch of armor units and a bunch of hunters. So first of all, that part of the board game, of the strategy map, is the startup value, the initial value of this phase. If you have enough of those units, you don't need to play any mercenary cards. If you don't, you'll actually have to do with what you have. And of course the cards that you bring along is also a very important resource to start the game with. So as you can see, they're already mobilizing here, and I really have to start creating some more units. So right now I'm going to enter the dragon mode. I'll fly in and nuke the enemy balloons. I'm going to,
oh, but they managed to take your center right at the last second.
That's right. So I'm just going to make sure I take out these guys as I can. I'm going to heal my units. I'm going to cast a heal that will heal them.
Farm, this is a pretty dramatic transition you just made here into this dragon form. Are you going to be able to, I was about to ask, switch back out to
We can switch back out at any time.
Okay.
At this point I didn't die, so I can rejoin the battle at any point near my own units.
Is there any sort of cooldown, or can you really just swap freely at will?
You can swap freely anytime you want. The only problem is when you die, it costs recruits, so you have to sacrifice population in order to respawn immediately.
Okay.
As you can see, they're already attacking my recruitment center here. Green and yellow are already in combat. We're going to take out green. And I'm going to heal my building. I'm on the cooldown. So this is the green units. You can't heal it at this point, but I can try to protect it. This is pretty safe. Hey, yellow, that's my building. Oh, excellent. So
now, is that the yellow enemy dragon we're seeing over there in the distance?
No, the yellow is the friendly dragon. And
oh yeah, that's right. He's our ally.
He destroyed all the green units, so I just healed my recruitment center. And this one is still functional. As you can see, I'm making quite some cash, and it's about now that I really have to start making more units. I'm going to build a harbor here. A harbor allows me to build juggernauts and ironclads. These units are fantastic because the Ironclad is a natural antidote against aerial units, and the Juggernaut basically is a huge battleship that can shoot across the map, and if you add a Zeppelin to it, he can even fire further.
Now, how do you help the player sort of juggle between controlling the dragon and controlling the units? Like, how do you help them manage those two roles?
Well, how do we help them?
Yeah, like, can you queue up orders for your ground units that they'll then execute while you're in dragon?
Well, yeah,
form?
Basically you have all the stuff that any other RTS has as well. So you have rally points that you can determine. So in this case, I can just set the rally point of my factory to more in the battlefield.
Okay.
And while I create more units, they'll automatically head out there. So as I did here. So these guys are already going to provide some serious backup here. And I'm going to rebuild my recruitment center. And I think this is an excellent moment to start taking out the enemy turret. There's an enemy dragon in the sky. I'm going to take him out. Guys, any backup here? Okay, so as you can see, my guys are taking over the turret point. I'm going to start building a turret within the enemy base. Move them closer. So I can just get them a bit closer and shoot.
Oh,
it's just too late.
So close. You were so close.
Almost about to heal them.
Now, do you ever see anybody go for a all units, no dragon playstyle? Is that even a possibility?
That is a possibility. The final game will have multiple dragons to support any different playing style the player has. So the idea is really that you find a way that you're comfortable in playing. So you'll have 4 dragon types, a more supportive dragon for the player that likes RTS more. And of course, choosing these dragons also have implications for your army. So a more powerful dragon has a modifier on your army that makes them actually do less damage in the actual RTS bits. So this whole thing will be balanced out to cater for different playing styles. So if people don't want to play with the dragon, that's also possible. But you'll have to, you'll have to get in there and get dirty anyway if you want it or not.
You have to get your hands dirty one way or another.
Exactly. So we're destroying the green base and taking over the buildings here. I really need an airfield. I'm going to start building some bombers.
Now, it looks like we really accomplished a lot there with just a very limited number of units. Is that sort of typical for unit deployment? You sort of have these smaller focus groups?
Well, you'll have to because you're active on a couple of different fronts at the same time. So it's quite hard to concentrate on huge battles, but you can, because we have one guy on our team, our lead QA. He's quite an accomplished and competitive StarCraft 2 player, and he really loves to play it more in a very
so he can sort of juggle all of those roles very quickly
in a very serious way. And most of us don't really play it in that way, but he actually switches through the dragon quite fast as well. And we also have things like control groups and all the other stuff that you naturally expect from any other RTS.
So sort of catch us up on what the lay of the battlefield looks like now. It looks like we really dealt a lot of damage to the green player. Are they out of the match at this point?
Well, at this point, if I was them, I would really give up because we're pretty much boxing them in.
Now it looks like blue player still has a massive troops over there on the far side of that cliff.
Yeah, but he's not going to do anything with them because we're going to build our turrets there to create some confusion.
It looks like we've also got yellow dragon in the skies. Giving us
some backup. That's perfect.
Here comes enemy blue dragon.
Blue dragon seems like he wants to do something. But that's okay because we're going to build a harbor here and create some juggernauts so they can shoot across the battlefield.
Now, once you built new units during this battle, are those units, if you have any left over when the battle's over, are they going to translate into units that you can use on the war map?
Well, that's the thing, right? So we have a. Hold on, let me just take care of this.
Sure thing. Just let you mop up here.
Nuke the enemy dragon. There you go. And that's perfect.
Nuke sniping. That's pretty good.
As you can see, the battleships are already starting to fire at the defensive units, and yellow can actually move in to sweep up the rest. But yeah, that was a valid question. Actually, we have a way to calculate the survival rate of the player.
Okay.
And so if you attack a country with like 5 armor units and you have a survival rate of 50 or 60%, that means that after the battle you get to keep 50 or 60% of the units you came on with. So it's pretty important to keep in mind how many units you're making and how much damage you're dealing and how much damage you're getting.
And that way you couldn't just drum up a whole army of units and have them pop up out of nowhere when your turn's done. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was one combat round, and we were victorious.
Congratulations. All right, Farm. Here we are back again on the strategic map, the war map, if you will. Victorious from battle, start of our second turn. What are we going to do?
Well, that's true, Max. What we're going to do here is, first of all, we had quite some losses here. I'm the red guy, so these are the countries that I occupy. Every country has a gold revenue, which is represented in the bag of gold, and a population. Now, the more countries you actually own, the higher your gold revenue is. And in this case, this is the second turn, and we can see that these transport ships loaded with units are actually moving to my shores. I'm going to send some units to this country in order to back it up a bit more. On your capital, so this is my capital, and this is my capital building. We can actually buy units, so it's also a factory, so we can start buying some units here.
Now, is that exclusively where new units are produced?
Well, no, you also have buildings that are factory buildings. For instance, this building is a factory building, and once you take that, or in this case, we can actually build one. To shorten the supply. We don't have enough money. So we need 25 gold in order to build a factory here so we can shorten the supply lines. But that's okay. There are plenty of units that can move across the countries. So all the units also have movement points. So the moment you actually make them, they have a certain amount of movement points. The Devastators have one movement point, so you can only move them through one country. Armors and hunter units have actually more movement points. You can load them into transport, so if we go to the unit list, we actually have ground units here, as well as aerial units. So we also have 2 air units, and we also have naval units. So in this case, I'm just going to make one extra transport. And we also had a bunch that were on the way to the blue capital. So I'm going to move my transport on his country here, unload the transport, and then attack his capital. So he probably won't be expecting that because he's moving all his forces to the right. Yeah, it is quite a sneak attack.
So what is this tower building over here?
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. These buildings on the map, they have different functions. So this is the Wizard Tower. The Wizard Tower actually gives you Dragon skill cards every turn. So if you own one, you get the Dragon skill cards. You got gold mines. These increase the revenue of a country by 50%. You got shops. So if you take a country with a shop, you can right-click on it, and then you can actually buy generated cards. There'll be multiple to your disposal. You also have the academies. These decrease research costs. We also have the taverns. The taverns give you mercenary cards. These are units that are temporarily available for one combat. And we also have the Parliament. The Parliament gives you strategy cards which are really political. So in this case, if I go to Hawkesbury, I can actually play a card on Hawkesbury that makes it immune to evasions for one turn, which is really good because if I get attacked, at least we're protected here, right? Cards are a very essential part of the gameplay. During the single player and multiplayer, there's different ways of getting cards. You either get them through your faction members, the princess, or your generals in the single player. In multiplayer, you get them by actually owning countries and owning the buildings on the countries. There's plenty of different cards that influence the battle heavily, so it's quite useful to keep an eye on those things. We can also access our unit research menu. The unit research menu in Dragon Commander, we basically have a basic army for everyone, so everyone has the same army, no different factions, but every unit in this army has about 4 to 5 different upgrades, and you can't have them all, so you really have to choose how am I going to play and what am I going to upgrade in order to facilitate that type of gameplay.
So while 2 players may have similar units, they could play very differently.
Upgrades. That is absolutely right. Buying these upgrades can either go instantly, so if you have enough cash, you can unlock them immediately. You can research it over 2 turns, you can research it over 1 turn. Shorter research is, of course, more expensive. And we also have our dragon skills at our disposal that we can also upgrade and research, and more will unlock during the progression of the game. So we're just going to end our turn now to see what is going on.
And on that note, Farm, as we're sort of progressing into the next turn, can you remind the viewers at home when they can expect more information about Dragon Commander?
If everything goes well, Dragon Commander will be released somewhere in the early summer, so that'll be somewhere in June. And we're looking forward to people playing our game.
All right, well, thank you so much for chatting with us.
No problem.